Right. We're just booking tomorrow's show, which is at 5 a.m.
Wow.
Las Vegas time.
With whom?
Probably about 17 people.
Wow.
No, I'm kidding, but it feels like that at the moment. There's one advantage to doing it at 5 in the morning, is that no one can say they have other plans.
Do you ever sleep?
Occasionally.
Thanks for appearing on the UpTake.
It's great to be here.
Tell us about what Netroots Nation means to you.
Well, first of all, we flew in last night, and the pilot said, "Welcome to lost wages," for Las Vegas. But it's true, sadly, right? We've come to the state with the highest unemployment rate, highest foreclosure rate, highest bankruptcy rate. There's a race for Senate between the most powerful senator, right, the Senate Majority Leader, Harry Reid, who is no shoe-in here, very low numbers, almost as low as unemployment is high here. But because of his opponent, extremely, I guess you could say, she is a member, can be a member of the Tea Party, she is, right, Sharon Angle, and has said that, they should encourage people to take Harry Reid out, referring to the Second Amendment, right, bearing arms. So with all this extreme language, he may well win, but it's not because he's popular here. And I think it's emblematic of what's happening with the Democratic Party. You have these mass crises that we're confronting. And I think especially people here are saying, where are the bold responses? The administration keeps talking about landmark legislation, landmark healthcare reform, landmark financial reform. But when it comes down to it, that healthcare reform did not have a public option, certainly wasn't single payer, so it's going to be extremely expensive. When you don't get rid of the health insurance companies and you take on, which is very important, people who don't have health care, yes, it's going to be very expensive, and you're opening up yourself, the government, to those charges, as opposed to doing it the way so many industrialized countries do, where you take out the middleman. Mm-hmm. And these are the issues people are talking about here. There are not many sessions on war. There should be more, because what could be more serious, the most serious decision a country can make is to go to war. And that, too, is something people are extremely disgruntled with. President Obama became president, I think, because of the anti-war movement. Very little distinguished him from Hillary Clinton, except their positions on the war in Iraq were different. Mm-hmm. And now the surge in Afghanistan has people very troubled. But overall here, I think it's about horizontal organizing. It's about people networking with each other, thousands of people, and that is very important. They see an agriculture official, the Department of Agriculture, Shirley Sherrod, is forced to resign because some right-wing blog distorts a video of what she has to say. And within hours, it seemed, the Obama administration, the Department of Agriculture, was so afraid that this video would then appear on Glenn Beck that they forced her out. And I think a lot of people here are wondering, there are a lot of bloggers here, a lot of independent websites. Why doesn't the Obama administration respond when they put video on their website? Hopefully not so deceptive, because that was just outright inaccurate. And now, of course, Shirley Sherrod, who's a longtime civil rights activist, because she didn't just slink away, but she fought back. Well, they had to deeply apologize and offer her another job. But that issue of, a right-wing blog having such an effect in the White House, I think people here are thinking maybe they could have half the effect.
Yeah. We just had MSNBC's Ed Schultz on before you, and he mentioned that he feels like MSNBC ought to coach Obama and the White House on how to use MSNBC, which is perceived certainly as being a leftist cable channel, the way that the Bush administration used Fox News to its own credit. Is it good that MSNBC is perceived by mainstream America as being so far on the left? And I mean, should Obama use MSNBC and perhaps us and the Netroots more?
Well, I mean, I think left and right, liberal, conservative, even Democrat and Republican, these lines are breaking down because the issues cross all political lines. When you are forced into bankruptcy, you're not thinking Democrat or Republican or even Tea Party or progressive. When BP is dumping millions of gallons of oil on your coast, you're not thinking of those kind of distinctions.
Yeah.
It's equal opportunity, and it's getting so many of us. And I think it's more instructive to talk about independent media. It's our job as journalists to be independent of the state. You know, the fourth estate should not be about being for the state. We're not supposed to be covering for power. We're supposed to cover power. And that's very important. There's a reason why our profession is the only one explicitly protected by the U.S. Constitution, because we're supposed to be the check and balance on power, whether it's Democrat or Republican or whatever.
I want to touch back on a couple things that you mentioned earlier. Harry Reid, who will be speaking here on Saturday, we learned today that he and the Senate basically dropped any meaningful climate change legislation, watering it down even further. Your reaction to that, and how should we receive Harry Reid on Saturday? I mean, I've heard rumors that we ought to boo him.
You know, Democracy Now! Broadcasts from Copenhagen for 2 weeks, the only national broadcast to do that every day for an hour. It's so important. I mean, look where we are. We're in the desert. And last week it was 113 degrees here. This week it's 107 degrees. This is just astounding. And these heat waves are getting longer and hotter. Climate change is such a critical issue, and we're so behind in this country. Being in Copenhagen, the one thing we learned is how advanced and networked the movement is around the world, because there are very countries, land masses are at stake. The Maldives could disappear. So you had 15-year-old ambassadors of the Maldives coming and saying, this is not just a matter of policy debates. This is a matter of our very survival. And you think about what happened between Copenhagen and Cancun, what's going to be the next climate change summit in Mexico. Well, we also broadcast from Bolivia for Earth Day week because President Evo Morales called an Earth Day summit an indigenous rights summit, climate change summit, recognizing Copenhagen failed. So we broadcast from there for a week. 15,000 mainly indigenous people. It was amazing. And so what should happen here? The fact that we can't even get any kind of substantial energy bill passed? I mean, it's not even that you have to look to the other side of the world. Look to the Gulf of Mexico. From oil wells to oil wars. When will we change? I think the millions of gallons that have been dumped into the Gulf, the devastation of that area has started a number of people asking, how can we go on like this and this kind of petroleum dependence that is endangering us all? Not to mention the wars we wage to get others' oil, like in Iraq. I don't think the energy bill should be up to a few elite corporate Democrats or Republicans. Everyone has to make demands. That's where it comes from. And that's what's going to have to happen.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Afghanistan earlier, and also, you know, the lack of panels and discussions directly addressing Afghanistan here at the Netroots Nation Conference, which is a gathering of progressives, many of us like-minded. Why is that? Why are we not talking about Afghanistan within this community? Are we confused about Afghanistan?
Well, I fear that the community organizer-in-chief, Barack Obama, has become the commander-in-chief, Barack Obama, and people are trying to get their bearings. He won because he was opposed to Iraq. He did say he supported Afghanistan, and now he's followed through and committed this surge, tens of thousands of soldiers in Afghanistan. But many, I don't think, heard the second part, that he was for Afghanistan, so this is a surprise. I mean, the most vocal opposition I've been hearing have been Republicans saying this is not going well. You know, the head of the Council on Foreign Relations, Richard Haas, a front page, I think it's Newsweek story about Afghanistan. I mean, let's face it, from Vietnam It's going to end. There's going to be some kind of conference, peace conference like Vietnam. There'll be a deal made. It's a question of how many bodies from now and how many billions of dollars from now. And that's up to people on the ground like people here. Yes, I think people are afraid that organizing against war, especially here, which would be very natural for people, is organizing against the administration that they elected. But war is too important to change your views based on partisan politics. War is war, whether it's led by a Republican president or a Democratic president, and people have to decide if that's what they want done in their name. Especially when you have U.S. men and women who are being sent to kill or be killed, and they can't have these debates on military bases. They rely on us in civilian society, and this is where these discussions have to take place.
In the 2 years since Barack Obama was elected, have we, the progressive media, activism, the Netroots Nation community, have we made missteps? Have we taken things for granted? Have we sat back in our haunches?
I think for a long time, people have felt that the presidency represented a brick wall. And now that wall is a door. And the question is, though, since it's only open a crack, will people kick it open or will it be slammed shut? And it's very possible it will slam shut. And that's not up to President Obama alone. It's up to everyone else. He's no longer the community organizer in chief, and people have to do that organizing that he did to get where he is. And it may well be organizing against policies of the person they elected into office. The issues are much bigger than any one person, and they have to be taken very seriously.
Going forward, as independent media, as bloggers, activists, what's our role now?
I think people have to make up their own minds, but that's the key. People have to make up their own minds, and it shouldn't be determined by who's in power and who's out of power. But it's up to everyone, their moral conscience, what we should be doing, whether we're talking about the economic war at home or the hot military war abroad.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.